favorite podcasts.
Q107 is Toronto's rock station, home to the best rock music on earth, and the Daily Derringer podcast.
37.59 million people live in this country. This country, if you're just joining the podcast and you just happened to find it, just fluked upon it, Canada is the country.
What a beauty.
37.59 million people. Question off the top on today's podcast. How many Canadians play hockey? Adults. Over the age 18 and over, how many Canadians play hockey?
Like a percentage?
Correct. Oh, just give me a number.
A number.
Yeah. I couldn't work out the percentage.
No.
It'd take way too long. This thing would be like 4 hours long.
Over the age of 18?
Correct. Adults. It is second to golf as far as a Canadian sporting activity for adults. Give me a number.
5 million.
Say 14.
14 million?
Yeah.
It's like that's more than half the adults.
I'm standing by 14. I'm standing by 14.
Okay, you are almost exactly 10 times more. It's 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Play hockey. I don't know if there are any adult body contact leagues anymore. We used to play in one. Played in one until our late 20s. And we selected to play contact. Like, what the hell were we thinking? So you'd go to the games and it'd be like at Chesswood or wherever you were playing, Ted Reeve. And you'd watch the game before. There's a bunch of guys having fun, not a lot of grief, nice goals. And then we'd go out there and it'd be nothing but guys just head-hunting.
I'd have a hard time with that.
And it was really, really stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, we did it.
Yeah.
1.3 million Canadian adults participate in ice hockey, which is second to golf. Now, I would say that maybe 10 times more than that can skate.
Yes.
But there's a difference between,
Sure.
actually playing hockey
Sure.
and skating. Somebody was telling me, by the way, so I take my daughters skating. We go in Aurora and public skating, and they just like to go out skate. Somebody was telling me, and they have definitive adult shinny, kids shinny, public skates, and then like adult public skates. Somebody was telling me they were at a rink. There was public skating mixed with shinny.
It's crazy, right? You do
Was that
see
you
those.
telling me that?
Well, it was stick and puck, but there were kids on the ice. So normally, when you do stick and puck, generally, at least where I'm from, talking Halton region, it's like divided by age. So you could have like a 5 to 8 year old stick and puck. So that means you got to wear your gear and you have it's not a game, but you have a stick and a puck and you can take shots and you can do your moves. Then it's normally like 8 to 12 and it goes from there. This was stick and puck with kids on the ice that are like 3 skating with bicycle helmets on. A woman skating pushing a stroller.
And guys are playing shinny.
Other side, people are whizzing the puck.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
That's bad management.
And it wasn't even divided in half. Like half was. That's still bad to me. It was a little bit of both.
So you have 8-year-olds in snowsuits skating around
Yes.
while guys are taking wristers.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not kidding. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Weird.
Like to the point where all the dads were waiting and looking and saying, like, "Have you ever seen this?" It was very odd to me.
Okay, so and this is the story that we want to talk about today. I think if the world were perfect, and we know it's not, you could have adults playing shinny, no raising the puck, no slappers, that sort of stuff, and kids, because there would be a mutual respect, right? The problem is the Cowboys. The Cowboys are always the problem. And that's what leads to this story about a guy, and it's been in court for, 8 years, I think?
Yeah, it started 2012. It went down.
And so it's been litigated, and this guy ended up, because of an injury that he received in a hockey game, $700,000. So this is in the Ottawa area. Most of these guys had played pretty high level, like university hockey. I think a bunch of guys were from Carleton University's hockey team, and now we're just playing. He says that he was blindsided and life-altering injuries, and what the $700,000 is for is the liability for his up till now, from 2012 till now, and future earnings, what he's like. And that's generally what it comes down to, right? You can't just throw out a number willy-nilly in these sort of lawsuits. They try to correlate it to what did you lose because of this, right? Like, it's not a $25 million suit. You would have made $700,000. Okay, and that's the amount they come up with. But this is what can happen in beer league hockey.
You got to think that there's still guys out there that somehow, even though you're paying to play, like, I think they think there's still a shot for them to make it somehow. Even if they know they won't, they take it like there is.
Because of the high level they played at.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here, so I'll ask you this. With all the testimony that was given, some of it was from players on the competing team, the party that had apparently done this. Some of them were from this guy's teammates, the teammate of the guy who was hit. Would you not feel bad if you were on the teammate, if you were a teammate of the hitter,
right,
when all of a sudden you got to show up in court and testify against the guy on your team?
And say, you know what, I hate to admit it, my buddy blindsided a guy.
And one of the things they're saying is that part of the testimony is very difficult to believe because of the team loyalties.
And I understand that part.
Let me just give you an example of the opposite of team loyalties. So there was a guy we played with, and he was a goalie, and he was nuts. This guy was insane. Nobody on our team could tolerate the guy, but you know what it's like when there's rent a goalie for a reason. There aren't many rent a left winger operations, right? But this guy was our goalie, and you go, okay, he may be an idiot, but he's our idiot.
Yes.
And this guy was so violent to anyone around his net that at one point a guy on the other team cross-checked him in the mask to the point where, like, the indentation in the mask, and everybody on the ice cheered, including our team,
right?
Like, hey, dude, like, nobody's fighting this guy.
Right.
Like, buddy, we understand why you did this.
Because he just went too far too often. You're embarrassed.
We've all played on teams with guys like that.
I feel that you guys have been in rinks more than I have. I've never played any sort of organized hockey whatsoever, but
Swimming pool's your place.
yeah, absolutely. But I have been in some rinks where a bunch of Ryan and I's buddies used to play on a team. I forgot the
Nailers.
The Nailers.
Mm-hmm.
And we
We used to sit with the wives.
Yeah, we sit with
Johnny
the
and I.
wives, hang out, have a hot chocolate, watch them. But then every so often you see a guy on the other team like crash into one of your buddies who like learned how to skate like a year ago. And the one comment that everybody would seem to yell would be, "We all got to work in the morning." We all got. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
You all have to work in the morning. Like, for some reason you love the game so much, you're willing to go play at 11:45 on a Wednesday night for a game that you love, and you just want to go out there and skate. But there are other guys, to Ryan's point, who just think that because they've paid, the rules don't apply to them.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do? Get a ref who's making $25 a game, like pull you guys apart? Like, what do you expect to happen?
I want to just touch upon something you said there. You guys actually sat in the stands
Not
for
kidding.
a men's beer league game? Like, I don't think I've ever seen a guy sitting up there.
John, this is why, and I'm not kidding when I say this,
They were all our friends.
but this is why my kids learned how to skate. Because I said to my wife when we had kids, and whatever, I have boys, so it was even more so in my head, is I said, Charlene, before I met you, my friends started a beer league. And I used to, we used to go and watch them play because it was like a Sunday night and I'd have to get up early the next day or whatever. And I was so embarrassed sitting with the wives, watching them play. I so badly wanted to go there and play with them.
Really?
I so badly
I had no problem with
not so much not so much embarrassed that I'm with them, but I so wanted to, rather than sitting with them, I wanted to be on the ice. I wanted to play with them. They'd have stories, they would, whatever, they're drinking beers in the locker room, and I so badly wanted that. And I said to Charlene, no way I'm putting my kids through that. They learn how to skate.
Okay, during the course of your kids learning to skate and playing hockey, have you learned to skate?
I just skated last Saturday, actually. Yeah, I can skate.
Could you play in a beer league now?
Okay, so this is where I think things have to change, and I think it has, at least the people I've talked to. You've got to pick your lane. So, you could be in and I don't know all the different levels, but you could be in a 40-plus base. Like, that's what I want to be in. I want to be with guys that are between, say, 40 and 50 that all are just learning to play hockey for the first time. That's what I want to be in.
1.3 million Canadians,
Right.
and a lot of them are where we live. believe me, somewhere you would find that.
Because I think that would help maybe a little bit with the problems. Like, so I never played hockey, but you remember me when I broke my leg? That was playing soccer. I phoned you from the hospital Sunday night saying, I won't be in tomorrow, boys. I just broke my leg.
And how did you break your leg?
Because I was 30 with a brand new baby at home, just wanted to get some exercise. I was playing with my older brother. I was the youngest guy on the team at 30. But we played in a league where it was like 18 plus. So you're playing against 18 to 23-year-olds.
The worst age, man.
Worst because they're still young, they're still fit, they're still in good shape. And again, as I was saying earlier, there's still part of their head that thinks like this is real.
I agree. I remember what I was like at 20.
Right.
Sure, absolutely.
And so a guy broke my leg. He slide tackled and broke my leg in a Sunday night soccer game. 3 months I'm in a cast. I have a newborn at home. I can't drive to work. It ruined a large portion of my life with a youngster at home.
Totally understandable. Did at any point after this guy tackled you, did he say sorry?
No, you know what? Because it snapped. I heard it snap. You know, when you ever broken a major bone, like it's the only time you just kind of go into this weird thing and all you're thinking about is your
shock,
leg. Shock, right? Yeah. And your body, and you're just like, I just broke my leg. My leg is broken. And so I didn't even react to them. I didn't know. Everyone was just kind of like, what happened? And so for this guy to get $700,000, and I don't know the entire story, but if I lean towards him because I sympathize when I had a broken leg. And you're talking about your head, concussions, who knows? It says here in the story, courts have moved from requiring evidence of intent to harm to applying the general rules of negligence, adapting them to the context of the sport where some risk injuries are inevitable.
Well, and this is much different than, you know, the proposal to lay assault charges for guys that do things on the ice in the National Hockey League.
Right.
This isn't the National Hockey League. And I think the point Johnny made is the right one. We all got to go to work tomorrow, right? That's a saying that has been thrown out after every beef that's ever happened in beer league hockey. We all got to go to work tomorrow. Well, it was tough for you to go to work the next day.
I couldn't, and that's when you're like, and it was, and you feel terrible for calling work, and you're like, wow, like I did something for fun, and now I have a broken leg and I can't go to work. To the point where I know some friends in Acton where it got so bad with some of them that they just, their own friends made their own league, so you just rent the ice, and that way you're playing, 4-on-4 with guys you know.
Best way to go.
That's the best way to go.
So do you think this is a deterrent for people now then?
Who knows? Like, it's like...
Because I always feel like the heat of the moment will trump no matter anything, right? That's why murder still happens.
Right, exactly.
I would say no, only because I think for some people, all rational, logical thought goes out the window the moment that equipment goes on.
Preach.
Right? Well, but there was a guy that we worked with here, and he was a great guy. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a great dude from Saskatchewan. Tell you the kind of guy he was. He used to ride his motorcycle in the middle of winter. We're driving along about 20 years ago on the 401. It's like next week is supposed to be sunny, but minus 500. And my buddy says, we're in his minivan, he says, there's a guy coming up on us on a bike. And I went, you've got to be kidding me. Like, where the road has been covered with snow for so long, you're just shocked that you can actually see pavement. And this guy comes up on the bike, and as he gets next to me, I went, I know him. I used to work with the guy, and then worked with him again after that. Anyway, a tough inside, but the kind of guy that if you saw, you'd say he's a meek, quiet dude, doesn't say much, doesn't talk, not mouthy, not loud like me, just a guy. And he would get on the ice and make a transformation that I would say you would find hard to believe, but there's a pretty good chance if you've played beer league hockey, you have played with or against this same guy, right? The guy who just freaking snaps the moment he puts. So he used to do it like he was a stick worker. He'd be cross-checking guys in the face, hacking away like nothing, like clotheslines, like you name it.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
straight out of Slapshot.
Yep.
And then he'd get to the bench and do play-by-play of what was happening out there, to the point like the entire rink could hear.
Unique.
It was so weird. The game would end, he'd be the same quiet guy once again. Hey, fellas, looking forward to doing it next week. And we go, wow.
Well, there's this team that Johnny was referencing, our friends, a guy that we used to work with, and he was on another team just by pure coincidence. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm playing at 7. I'm like, oh, you're playing against my buddies. He loved to cross-check guys in the throat. He even cross-checked our friend in the throat, who, I'm not kidding, had a trach growing up.
this guy that we used to work with, literally as soon as he put on the skates, was just a bully on ice.
Yeah, hold on.
I could not believe that he did this.
He cross-checked in the throat a guy who'd had a tracheotomy.
Yes, he had a tracheotomy from when we were like 8.
Now, in his defense, I don't think he knew.
No, I don't think he knew.
But he still laid him out with a shot to the throat. This guy already had throat trauma.
There have been a few stories of members of the Toronto media getting into beefs with people, including at least one handicapped guy at charity hockey games.
What
I'm
the?
not-
What the?
What
So
are we doing
we
here?
used to play. Andy Curran, our buddy, used to put together this thing called the Rock and Roll All-Stars back in the 90s. And it was just a bunch of guys. There was some roadies. You get Larry Gowan,
Sure.
and Larry and his brother Terry would play. A bunch of guys. It was at George Bell. And we used to go out and play, practice, and then play. And one guy got into a beef with a guy who was very obviously handicapped and sucker punched him.
My God. Oh my
This is
God.
the kind of thing.
Oh.
And from what I understand, he's a good guy and, anywhere but on the ice.
Yeah.
And he just lost his jank. Like, completely and utterly tuned up on a guy who was handicapped.
Well, it's when you say that, it's that a guy just said it to me the other day. I was at a rink, and it was my kids playing, and some parents were yelling pretty good on the other team. And I'm just not a yeller. Like,
Like yelling at you or yelling at the kids?
yelling
on
at the
ice?
kids,
Okay.
right? Like if the ref missed a call, like that kind of stuff. And I just to be honest, I just find it embarrassing. I just kind of stay to myself. If I ever yell, maybe it's skate, let's go boys, that kind of stuff. And so we were talking about some of these parents, and my friend had a great line. He goes, you know what? He goes, in your car, at your rink. That's when people can be at their worst. It's like good people, as you're saying, just generally day to day good people, but they get behind the wheel, they lose their mind.
Well, he's right about the car, too.
Right?
Yeah,
Those
I
are the
agree.
two best examples. The one, I think, is universal. One's very Canadian, where you get to the rink, whether you're the guy on the ice cross-checking people, or whether it's your kid on the ice and you think he's been slighted, so you're yelling at a 15-year-old referee. It's crazy, but people lose their mind.
But it happens. I
All the time.
play men's E Division softball, and I've seen it get pretty heated between not only teams, but taking it out on the lowly umpire who can't see if a guy slid into second from home plate, but he still made the call. And you're yelling at this guy, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It does not matter at the end of the day.
I saw one umpire, sorry, just a viral video a little while ago, and he was a man, but he was a shorter man. And the way the video starts is it's in America somewhere. It's a kids baseball game, and I guess they're just giving this guy so much grief. And he finally says, "That's it, I'm done," and he walks away. And as he's walking away, a mother, who I just picture bake sales and stuff like that, she says, "Are you mad because the kids are taller than you?" And then he's just, that's it. I'm gone. He's in his car. He's in his car with that thing on his chest, driving away.
Johnny, I don't know whether you noticed that, but when you think of a grown woman, is the first thing that comes to mind a bake sale?
If the year was 1953, then maybe.
I was going to say
But-
57, but
okay.
we've got the right decade
Sure.
here anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was 2020, but who am I?
Hey, can I help adjust your course?